Right, there we go. We are sorted. We are ready to go. That was not ideal, but we'll go with it. Right, GT2s. Thompson is fastest. I've already pressed the wrong button. There we go. Oh crap, that's the wrong person. This is not going well, this is already not going well. That's because my stream hasn't started. What is going off with this? Alright, so that's there. Right, that was a problem, but we're over it. I've already pressed the wrong button again. Ah! Do it like this for now, because that's the only way it seems to work. Right. Few issues for a Friday night, but we're back and we're on it. So. Here we go. What have I missed? So, Thompson has gone fastest, Roberts P2, Oliver P3, Gabino, and we've got Davis yet to settle that. In fact, we'll go on board with Mr. Davis. We already are, apparently. There we are. So we have got a number 22 close to the finishing line. Who is that? That was Mr. Gold. We'll stay on board with D. Davis, see what he can do. Oh, big lift. As Gold moves up, I say Gold, it's Goo. I'm pronouncing it as Gold, but that's the way we're going, as Davis has half spun it. That is not the ideal line through there, mate. So, and he still goes P4. Okay. Mr. Roberts finishing his lap. This goes back up to second. Still 4 tenths off the pace. Mr. Thompson. I have to admit, I do love this little KTM. I don't drive GT2s, but I do like the KTM. Oh, that's a big improvement. 1.1 seconds. That is game, set and match. Who's coming for that? Who else is out? Oh, right on board with Gabino. Is might be a little bit of a lag issue because that steering. Oh, he's off. He's aborted. We'll go on board with Oliver in the KTM. Nice and steady. up. So how big of a lift is he going to do? Is he going to match Davis with the lift? And a downshift. That is surprising. I thought these would be a little bit... Well, they are more powerful, I suppose, but... So can Oliver improve on P7? As Jarrett in the KTM goes second. He improves up to P5. Let's go back on board with Mr. Roberts. See if he is improving. Looks neat and tidy. Looks a bit understeery. I will admit, it does look a little bit understeery on the 94. Any predictions for the GT4 class? I'm going to say Sarlos will take GT4 pole. He's a very quick. I raced him in the GT3s last year, so I am going to say it will be Sarlos P1. I'm going to say Muta P2, and I'm also going to say McConnell, aka Bubs, will be up there in the GT4s. I don't know why, just a feeling I've got. And I believe there is no... That is because the GT3s are on track. My timing is all messed up due to errors of getting broadcasting. So we've got Pro and Pro-Am, I believe, or is Pro and Am, one of the two. These guys are trying to make themselves a gap, and we are looking for... There he is, number 1, 2, 3. It's the first man out. It's right on board. This camera isn't ideal, but the broadcast one was just not working. All the cars were going underground for me, so I've had to hide from that for a minute. Keeps it nice, straight onto the power. Nicely held. Down 2, chucks it in. The steadiness of the Ferrari carrying him around. Oh, but the curve, that can sometimes unsettle a car, but not enough 296. Going off from everything in the Discord. We'll carry on. Yeah, definitely flatten the GT3. Hello, Mr. Retro. Getting ready for his GT4 debut. As straight away top of the times, 2:19.2. Not a bad effort. We've got 1:83 going through with another BMW. I believe he's only just starting a lap though. With that line, I would say. As the number 10 AM BMW goes P3 overall, second in class. I'm excited for this multiclass. It's not just to put your foot down and get to the finish. It's you've got GT4 drivers to contend with. You've got to make sure you get through. I quite like the idea. As the number, I've missed a few at the top. So the 88 BMW goes second in class with the 14 Porsche, and everyone is really bunched up. You'd think they'd find themselves a bit of a better gap, but full send is the way. Is the full? Yeah, they're both off. And that is lap invalidations for both drivers. I would have Well, I'd put my rig on, but it is what it is. So we'll go back to the 183 McLaren. It looks very, very planted. Doesn't look like it when I'm driving it like that, I promise you that. Third gear. Will it try and... No, it actually stays relatively well behaved. Onto the brakes. Hold it. Don't let it understeer. Beautifully done. Onto the curb. Second. Short shift up to third. Oh, there's the layeriness. I don't quite think the BMW in front will be helping the front of that McLaren, but he is going. But he will get a nice slipstream going into the last corner. So BMW uses all the road available. McLaren's lifted. He's lifted off. He must have invalidated, or he was too close to the BMW. That's what's happening with the number 29 Ferrari then. In fact, we will change the view to see if we are now a bit more synced with the lobby. There we go. So. Who is near the end? The 223. They do not make these menus the easiest to do on your own, so as we have the Ford Mustang, I'm being rang. Oh, it's the owner. Ooh. It's just the owner ringing because apparently it's not been working very well. But we'll go on. What? I've missed a lot already. So who in the GT3s haven't set a lap? We've got the 183 who's coming into the last couple of corners. Is this a timed lap? We shall find out. Still not been able to get away from that BMW. He does jump up the order, up to second, 8 tenths off that Ferrari though, as the BMW finally peels out of the way. Duffy has remained in the pit lane, as we've got Price in a very green BMW. You will not miss that. The number 99 machine. He's looking very, very steady. Using all the curb. Oh, that's the limit there. You don't want to run any wider than that. Again, this should be flat for the GT3s. He sounded it. Spot your braking point. Hard on the brakes. That's one. There's the second. Where will this put him? is up to P7. And these GT2 cars are not as quick as I thought they'd be. And I'm not saying that's the drivers, I generally thought they would be a lot quicker. So Duffy's still not come out, and it looks like the GT4s are now on their way out. So Duffy will be at the back with the 883 McLaren. So let's go on board with, as Mr. Harris has just hit the wall coming out the pit lane, we will not remind him of that. Salos and Muta, both Porsches. Very similar colour schemes as well. Just a bit darker gold. I think these will be the top two for the GT4s in my opinion. Well, I could be wrong. I believe these two are the first two out. So I lost the number 30. Yep, so these will try and stick with. There's Muta again. He's not gave himself much of a gap. Oh, he's backed off. As I said that. So we'll stay on board with Salos. Well, we'll stay with Salos for this lap. I will be a very bad commentator for the GT4s because I've never driven one in my life, so I don't know what's a very good braking point and what's a bad one. He's all over the curb there, coming out of one. Making the run down to the hill. Oh, he had to brake. I've never had... I mean, I do not know much about these GT4 machines. I have never driven one in my entire life. As he comes down into the braking, uses the curb, all over the second part, keeps it tight. That's beautifully done there from Salos. Tricky right-hander. Oh, opposite lock applied. Seems to have collected it in nicely out. Here we go. Down to the double left. That's part one. I have to say, these GT4s do look pretty nice. Spots his braking. Sounded like a little bit of understeer with the tyre screech, but I could be wrong. As we've got Muta still in the background, so we'll get a good representation from these two straight away. And the 21 machine of Blake is not too far behind these guys. Oh, that was a lot of curb. That was touring car-esque through there. That was very, very nice. So here we go then. What can Salos put on the board? So he goes 20th. And it looks like Muta invalidated his lap. So round... There's Blake also no laps set. So I don't know if it was an outlap or an invalidation. As we go on board with Smith in the Aston Martin. Oh, these GT4s like to use a lot more curb. Oh, that does sound nice. Smith goes P21, second in class. So we have the 777 of Mr. Harris in the Ginetta. How's he getting on? have to say, there is some very nice paint schemes for this season. I'm quite liking the colours. Oh, that's a lot of grass there. That is not the ideal way. He's kept it, and he's still going. That was very close to track limits for Harris on the exit. Again, using a lot of curb, these GR4s. Surely these are going to be flat now till the last corner. I'm listening for the engine notes. Yeah, easy flat. As the 876 machine of Barrett goes P2 in class, a 10th off Sarlos. Oh, dab of the brakes into the second. That may have cost you a bit of time, but it wasn't a lap anyway. You must have had an invalidation. I believe if I saw where, it would have been this into the chicane, but what about Muter? Still no time on the board yet. As Sarlos improves his time, and Muter goes top of the GT4s. 8 tenths. Not a bad effort there. How is McConnell getting on in the Aston Martin? I do love the sound of an Aston Martin. Their engines are probably one of the best to listen to. As the 23 machine, again, should be flat. Oh, that sounded like a lift there. Spot your braking point. That's part one. Dab of the brakes for the second. And P4 overall then. How is the 21 machine of Blake getting on? He's still at the... I believe he may be the only car on a lap at the minute. As the others are greyed out, which usually means an invalidation, I think. Because I've got multiple colours on this. Oh no. I don't know what happened there. We spawned back into a pit lane. As Blake comes round. Only 2 McLarens in the GR4 class. You usually see a lot more of those. Let's listen, is he going to be flat? Sounded like it. Oh, that was wide. He may have got away with it. Here we go. Spot your braking. Nicely into the first. So this is his one and only lap of the qualifying session. And it puts him P4 overall, so not a bad effort. Sarlos just made the line, so we'll keep an eye on if he can improve. Harris just coming onto the straight. There's Smith at the end of his lap. Let's see if there is an improvement. There isn't. So he will start down in 26th. As we have got Hassett, who hasn't set a lap yet. as Muta is in the pit lane, so he thinks he's done enough. Sarlos only a 10th off, I believe, is still circulating in the 13 machine. He is not. I can't see him on the track map. So it looks like Muta may have pole for GT4s. As we've got some of the drivers in the chat. That was a break there from Hassett. Can he sneak that Porsche a couple of places up? 28th overall and the slowest of the GT4 drivers this afternoon. As we have 35 seconds left on the clock. Mr. Harris is the last driver to come across the line. And he's got a big chunk of time to find. Has he got it? He improved by a lot, but he was his 10th off McConnell in the end, so keeps his position. And Duffy, Lemon, and the 999 KTM of the GT2s didn't set a lap, so they will start at the back. So that is qualifying done. So now all the drivers will be making sure the cars are fueled. We've got a 90-minute race, no tyre mandatory change. However, refueling is mandatory, so they haven't got to go the full way on a full tank. We've had raining practice, so fingers crossed we can have a little bit of rain in the race, get a bit of excitement. As we are going to be sat now for a few minutes. There we go. So we've got 5-minute wait time. All the cars are going to be up in the air. Fuel, tyres, brakes being changed. Last minute adjustments. And look at the radar. We've got rain hitting the track in 15 minutes. So this, if the drivers haven't spotted it, and I've said it on stream and you're watching, you're welcome. So how will this change the strategy for the refueling? You know, you're going to want to go a little bit longer, or do you know if the rain's coming, do you want to go short? So I think we're going to see a real difference in strategies for fuel here. So it also depends on how much that rain intensifies. At the minute, that's just a light shower. If it gets heavier, then we could be in for one. So we've got a track temp of 21. So PSIs will probably have to come down a little bit from normal. As we can see the wheels on the front working on both the McLaren and the 444 Porsche. I never even noticed that before. As he's lowered. So one mandatory refuel for all the drivers. That's all classes, doesn't matter which one. So we'll have the Ferrari and a McLaren on the front row. Let's just hope everybody keeps it nice, clean and tidy au Peau Rouge. As Theon said, he's had a very bad qualifying, but as much as qualifying does help, after an hour and a half, qualifying is not really that important. We'll have to keep an eye out on how these GT2s get on, because they're very quick in a straight line, but over an actual lap time they do not seem as good as the GT3s, so we'll have to keep an eye out on them. And I have to say, and this pains me to say, but out of all of the GT3s, there is only... Oh, there's 4 McLarens. Okay. Normally you see a grid full of them. I'm the 49, watch me lap 1. So the 49 is... As Hasse, yes. I was on board a few times with you and wondered why you'd not got a lap in. But, I mean, you're in the shout with your GT4 class, so all is not lost at the minute. As we've got another minute and 55 seconds, and then we will have the formation lap. And I spun every lap. Well, I call that finding the limit and then some, but that's what we'll call it. As we wait, I'm going to take a 30-second break for a drink refresh, and then I shall be back with yous.
Seconds.
You're currently P15. Do you think you can go faster than I qualifying? I think you can.
20 seconds.
So, as we get the 20-second warning then for the drivers to ready up. I have noticed that rain in 15 minutes went from being pretty light to a good chuck down. So it looks like that rain is going to be worse pretty early. So I expect in the next 15 to 20 minutes we will see a lot of these drivers in coming for the wets. As we are away for the formation lap, so a full formation lap here gives the drivers chance to warm the brakes, and I was going to say the Ferrari stopped, which is not ideal. And I did see in the background the 2 cars are starting from the pit lane, which is the 109 KTM of Gibboni and M. Lemon in the 883 McLaren will be starting from the pit lane. So anyone starting behind them gets automatically moved up a spot. As an inside joke, I do want to watch Mr. Roberts go down this straight to make sure. He is weaving, warming them tyres. There's a flash of the lights there from one of the KTMs. I have to say, I do like that KTM. That was probably the car I would be in if I was racing. As Mr. Roberts has made it down the straight this time around. So we'll go back to the Ferrari. A very Ukraine-styled livery on the 123 machine. Oh, hoping for a... As you can see, he's riding the brake. He's already got his rain light on. Saves time in the wet, I suppose. As the flashing on the back of the car is his rain light, warning of if the weather gets too bad, so other drivers can see him. It's a bit early for it, but why not? So, as you can see, coming round, a lot of drivers will be riding the brakes as it keeps temperature in the front tyres and the rears if your brake bias is set, which is why you will see a lot of drivers on the brakes pretty much a lot of the formation lap. So we just got to wait now. Obviously, these two guys on the front row are going to want to hope they can get up Eau Rouge and Radion without a scratch. I hope everybody has a good first lap, but we shall see. So as we're coming round, we should be going double file in the next couple of minutes before the end of the mini straight going into the last corner. As we see the two Mustangs 4th and 5th, and a BMW 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. A lot of BMWs on the grid this year for GT3s, which is nice to see a lot of some of the older cars being used. As we should be going double file, which we are. No, we're not. Look like we are, but I may be wrong. No, I was right. Drivers are starting to line up. Obviously, it's the old. We don't use the F1 style line for the start, so we'll go round equivocally turn 1. As the timing line does end here at the end of the race and for qualifying, but for the start of the race we do start on the endurance styled Spa. Very long pit lane here as well. Obviously you enter out of this chicane and you've got to basically do 2 pit lanes, and at the speed you're going it takes an eternity. So as we now were saying, we have rain in 5 minutes, so we're not going to get many racing laps in the dry weather. So let's hope for a good getaway, and then we'll see some strategy panning out. Is this camera, is it going to show us the front? It's not going to show us the front. Show me the front.
Green line. Give it all you
So
got.
we are green. Ferrari gets away well. Porsche, McLaren. Oh no, it's. Everyone seems to have made it. Stick with the leader for now. Because I can't even. Everyone seems to have made it up through there pretty nicely. I cannot currently change driver for some reason. I do seem to be pretty stuck. We'll do that, there we go. This menu for spectating isn't ideal. As the McLaren seems to have dropped a couple of places. It's not updated for us yet, but there's definitely a Mustang in front. 2 Mustangs. And the Porsche is also ahead. We've got a 109, I believe, started in the pit lane. So Thompson still currently leads in the GT2 cars, as Castelli, Gianluca, Roberts follow suit. And here comes the GT2s as Garrett and Thompson are side by side. Garrett has passed Thompson, so the pole for GT2s has slipped down to second. I believe Roberts was in there as well. Does that look like we did have a car off there? There's Roberts in the Mercedes. Oh, that was a Ferrari round. Was that? It was Gianluca. at the last corner. That Ferrari looks like it's had more than one whack. That is looking pretty sorry for itself. So the pit window is now open, and we will have rain hitting within the next couple of minutes. So we're looking down. So Duffy, who didn't qualify, has passed all the GR4s, apart from... No, he has passed Sarlos. Mine just hasn't updated. So Sarlos does still lead GT4. Muta second. McConnell up into third, but is under pressure now from Barrett. Mercedes versus Aston Martin. Round the outside. McConnell is still there. He's done it. Nice clean race in there. Mr. Harris up to P25 overall. As Castelli's had a problem somewhere and is down into P26. And here's the rain already. We knew it was due pretty early in, and it has hit. Where is the race lead? He's coming towards the final sector, so we'll stay on board, see what his plan is. The track temperature is already dropped, and the track has now turned into greasy conditions. As I've pressed the wrong button once again. For some reason, we all keep skipping. So the 1, 2, 3, the race leader has brought it in. Very close to pit limiter there. So the pit window is open, so refueling at this stage will allow you to now go to the end of the race. As the 14 Porsche decided to stay out, so he may know something different. He may be already on the wet. We don't have that information. But as we've got a few cars have come in and a few have stayed out. As we look down, none of the GR4s have come in yet, and they are going over the start-finish line. So the GR4s are staying out. So, the number 14 leads the way. We are looking, not too many battles out on track at this moment in time. As we've got the number 88 machine battling with Duffy and Burnett. So a Pro versus 2 AMs. Again, that BMW looks pretty beat up, so that's been having a few love taps on them opening 2 laps. Oh, that's a car. Ooh, who's that? There is a car off. I can't see who it was. It's a McLaren. It's not I can't find out who that is. Was it? Definitely McLaren off. Could have been Duffy. I couldn't see enough of it. It's Castelli coming back up the order. Again, that front end of that Ferrari looking pretty beaten up. Obviously, Jaruka in the 875 was backwards at the final chicane. as the Porsche of the 14, number 14 is in. The number 10 in the AM split has carried on and kept going. Let's have a check-in with the 1-2-3 machine. It's got plenty of clear track and has pulled away from the two Mustangs behind him by quite a bit. 6.4 seconds to the 95 Ford Mustang. As we've got a lot of the GR4s, I believe. Burnett's in the AM. The GT2 of Gabino is in. McConnell has chosen to stay out, but Davis in the GT2 has made it into the pit lane. Harris, Duffy, Simpson, Hassett are all in as well. There's Roberts, the number 14 Porsche, as we said. So a lot of pit stops happening now. So this currently leaves this man as your race leader, yet to pit. So a couple of cars still trying to brave it out. As the 14 Porsche now comes out, and I believe the 1-2-3 Ferrari has jumped him. As he's in the clutches of that Mustang, which is very quick in a straight line. It was defensive. Oh, that was a snap there on the curb. You saw the back end twitching. I believe he's done enough to stay ahead, but what is the gap? 6.4 seconds, so that's a lot of work now for the 14 Porsche to overcome. Still got an hour and 20 minutes left. Most drivers have completed their pit stop, some haven't. Mr. Harris rejoins the race, the P26 overall. Quite a few of his class haven't pitted yet. Sarlos, Muter and McConnell up in the top 6. But that gap will come down pretty quickly. As Muter and Sarlos are nose to tail coming into the pit. Oh, Sarlos is at the back of him, hitting the limiter. Hopefully that neither will cost either of them a drive through for speeding in the pit lane. And I also believe McConnell is in. The number 10 machine is also in, which leaves the 88 BMW as your race leader. McLaren, the very beaten up McLaren there, second place starter in the 183. It's been in the wars already with only 12 minutes raced. As the gap coming out between the 1-2-3 Ferrari and the 14 Porsche is grown. Gap now 7.3, so he's nearly lost a second on one lap. As that was a... Who was that? That was a very slow car at the exit of 1. I can see him, but I don't know who it is. So BMW is coming back out. So I want to keep an eye on Sarlos and Muter. They came out came in nose to tail with a tap. So it'll be interesting if a drive through is given. It looked like they both kept it under the speed limit, so we shall see. There's a big gaggle of cars behind Roberts there, I believe, is that? All contact between the BMW and the KTM. Further contact, it looked like. All three abreast through there will not work, and they wise up to that. Two KTMs, line of stern. Both very similar paint jobs as well, if not the same. As Garrett goes really wide, that will give the 999 a run. As the BMW number 10 is off in the background. Garrett stays ahead after his mistake. Seems to have calmed down a little bit there. My timings aren't updating that well at the minute, as it's gold behind the number 10 BMW. These two are fighting for class positions. So Salos come out P21 overall, and I believe he's actually got quite a big gap to Muta, which he's behind Blake in the 21 McLaren. So there's been a bit of time loss, around about 7 seconds between them, and they came in nose to tail, so something could have been damage, but they are very separated, as Mr. Harris down in P26, keeping himself out of trouble. Hassett is the last GT4 runner yet to pit. As we've got Gabino, said he was right behind. No, it's just updated, never mind. As we do have two more KTMs going side by side down the straight. Oliver versus the number is through pretty easily. So Oliver moves up to 10th overall. I believe that will be 4th in class. Nice move there. 95 Mustang still on the back of the 14 Porsche. Seems to be the battle for pro at the minute, as the 123 Ferrari has checked out at this moment in time. The gap was around 7.3. The Mustang trying to find a way up the inside, but it's one big heavy car, and the gap is 8.5 seconds between the 123 Ferrari and the 14 Porsche. Two yet to pit, the 88 BMW with the 183 McLaren of Pagano, as they're dealing with a little bit of what looks like GT4 traffic. Obviously no blue flags. This is you've got to flash in the lights, but it's down to you to pass safely. This is now coming onto the back of Blake. Using all that curb. As he lunges it up the inside, clears. That's the fun thing about having the multi-cars. You've got to make sure your pass is clean and respectful in their own battles. So the 123 machine's the first car on track that has pitted and is 39 seconds off of the 88 BMW. So it is safe to say at this moment in time. This is your net race leader, although the leaderboards don't show it. As the 95 Porsche has dropped off, the 95 Mustang, I should say, seemed to have dropped off the back of the Porsche, but the Porsche made a mistake, dropped its rear a little bit, so this will entice this battle once again. As you can see, that Mustang just plant at its front end. He's gone for the dive. Oh, that was close to being a bit of an accident, but luckily both drivers avoided. He's took a little bit too much curb there, and surely that will slow him on the exit. They've got the GR4 cars ahead of them that they've obviously got to get past without hurting each other's. Will this... The Mustang, I think, was trying to make it free wide, but it just wasn't enough space. He's got the 999 KTM all over the back of Oliver. These two have been scrapping for a couple of laps. Not quite enough. Will he dive it on the inside on the brakes? He won't. Oliver had that one covered. So Thompson is your GT2 leader of class, with Roberts this P2, 8 seconds off, with Garrett's only 1.8 off, so things are looking nice and juicy for the GT2s. Salos is still your GR4 leader, with Barrett and Muter now up to 23rd. I'm still interested to know what happened to Muter, as he is on the back of Barrett and only 4 tenths, so we'll stay on board with this because we might get a move. Mercedes versus Porsche. Barrett a little bit wide on the wet curbs. Muter thinks better of it. A lot tighter and cleaner on the exit. It was about pushing the Mercedes out the corner. Got Blake and McConnell in the background. We go round turn 1. We'll be looking for a move down the straight, depending on the run up Eau Rouge and out of Radeon. Muted looked like he carried a bit more speed than the Mercedes. I think the Mercedes is a little bit too far away. He's pulled out to make his mirrors full, but it's not quite close enough this time around. As we've got Castelli on the back of... Oh no, he's already passed Hiverick, so we've missed that one a little bit. So the two Ferraris there switching around. As we go back on board with P4, who's actually closed the gap a little bit since we last was on board. So it's took about 2 seconds out of the 1-2-3 Ferrari. Seems to have dropped the pressure a little bit from the Mustang behind, but he's still there, and the 2-2-3 Mustang is not leaving this battle just yet. As once again he's down to 5.5. So there was GT4 traffic for the 123. Would that have been the issue? We'll have to watch the splits to figure that out. We've got Jarrett and Roberts. This is closed down quite a bit. The 94 Mercedes has been passed by Jarrett. We missed that while we were supposed to be on board. So Jarrett up into second in the GT2 class. Wondering if Roberts may have made a little mistake down the hill. No, we missed that one, unfortunately. As the gap has come down a lot, 3.5. Has the 123 had a problem somewhere we've not seen? As we've got P2 lapping Barrett and Muter. So we're nearly half an hour in, and everybody but the top two, Burnett and Hassett, have yet to pit. Limon hasn't even set a racing lap yet, so whatever reason that is, but he's been in the pit lane. As the GR4s seem to have spilled out a little bit with the gaps. Pagano looking a little bit desperate to get past the GT4 there. The gaps are slowly starting to fill out, so we've not really got much side-by-side action at the minute. Roberts behind Garrett. As the gap is down to 2.5 between the Porsche and the 123 Ferrari. Oh, as that back end looked a little bit squirmy through the double left-hander rather. So this is intriguing. There's obviously an issue somewhere, as that gap has been coming down quite a lot in the recent laps. As the gap is down to 1.9. We'll keep an eye on that over the next lap, because that gap is coming down quick and fast. Obviously we can't see on board with the Ferrari, but I am wondering if could there be a little bit of fuel saving in play already, or just the Porsche is a bit quicker in the wet. It looks like we do have a race on our hands for the net lead of the race, as the McLaren is still yet to pit, and the 88 BMW as well yet to pit. I have to say, he's been not doing a bad job out there. He's kept his nose clean. A bit of a scrape on that left side, but you know, he's 21 seconds in front of P2 and about 30 ahead of the net leader at this current time, so not a bad work, as we've got one of the Mustangs had a big accident. I wondered why he was back in the pit lane, and the front end of that Mustang does tell me why. We've missed what has happened, but that's had a big front end smash. And that is going to drop him very far down the order. So we've got Jaruka, who had that lap 1 spin, coming back through. He's got 2 GT3 drivers in front of him. He want to dispatch these guys quickly. As again, not really much to watch at this moment. Gaps between the Porsche and the Ferraris about 1.2, so not much is changing there. It looks like Roberts has been also passed by Oliver now. So Roberts in that Mercedes seems to be falling backwards a little bit after running P2 in class for so long. His next aim will be to keep the 999 KTM behind him. Is there nothing happening in the GR4s at the minute. Sarlos is still your race leader in class, with Muta back up to second, but I believe he's 9.8 behind. So I am still intrigued at what happened to that gap to grow. We've obviously missed something. So Barrett is currently 3rd in class. McConnell in the Aston Martin, P4. Blake 5th in class in the McLaren, gets very out of shape into turn 1, and then Mr. Harris, who's got the 1, 2, 3 in the 14 Porsche behind him. I believe that is for blue flags, as they are, I think, 2 to 3 laps down at this point. So Harris looked a bit squirmish going up Eau Rouge there, and I believe he had to cut. So maybe the Porsche in front generated a bit of dirty air that the Ginetta just didn't like, and he's got a very, very quick Mustang coming up behind him. As the gap's gone up a little bit. Oh, it's come back down actually, down to 8 tenths, so this is about to get feisty. As the McLaren, very understeery. And the 88 BMW still leading. Yet to pit, of course, but is still leading. As he goes to put a lap on Burnett with the looks of this. As we do have, according to the radar, the rain will stop in 15 minutes. So we will be still running on a damp, greasy track as he's flashing Burnett. Obviously, I do believe Burnett is under blue flags. Didn't do he's down in 18th. He did not do the best to get out of his way there. But 88 is through. This is the battle I want to see. So Porsche versus Ferrari. Is there any way he can get through? So still a long way to go. We've just hit the hour mark, so 59 minutes remaining, so still a long way. We're doing pretty well. We've still got 30 runners in the server, which is a credit of how well these guys have done so far in these wet conditions. As McConnell's been found in a place he doesn't want to be. I do believe the Porsche lost a bit of time. He did. Gap is back up to 1.1 seconds. As Castelli is past Gold now. 5 seconds off the next car. So yeah, once again, the gaps are starting to spread out. There is not really much to show. We've got Harris with Duffy now behind him. Obviously Duffy didn't set a lap in qualifying, so did start at the back, and that McLaren has had a little whack at the front end. As you can see, this should be pretty easy for the GT3 car. Harris can try and race it, but GT4 versus GT3 isn't much difference. As through goes Duffy, P25 overall. As Smith looks like he's been in the wars in that Aston Martin. Couple of scrapes. Hassett said he had a bad qualifying. And unfortunately, I don't think his race has gone much better. As he's all over the white lines. Oh, who's that? Oh, that was an illegal rejoin. That was one of the BMWs. I didn't see who that was, but that was it was Pagno, I believe, was one of the cars that was hit. But that was I'm not sure who the BMW was. I've got a feeling it was the number 82 of Burnett. It was definitely one of the funkier BMWs. No, it wasn't Burnett, I do apologise, the number 10 BMW. It was definitely a funky coloured, but a car had gone off and that was not a very good rejoin. I don't know who the car was that collected. I've got a feeling it was Pagano. Davis is in the pits as well. I don't know what that is for. He's done his scheduled stop, so the 33 having a problem of some sort. This is dropping him down the order. We'll keep an eye on Davis. As the gap is half a second between these two. This has been a relentless push from the 14 Porsche. As we seem to have lost the Mustang that was running in the top 4. We have lost a Mustang. That's the 223 Mustang. Now down in P16. I believe he had an issue earlier in the race, but we've lost the other Mustang, who may have left the server, who was down in... We're now down to 29, and I cannot locate the other Ford driver. So we have definitely lost one. As I'm looking in the Discord at that crash, it does look like it was Davis and the number 10 BMW. So unfortunately for Davis, he was having a nice quiet little day for him, as Price's had a battering in that BMW. Keeps it out of the way, but that has looked like it's took a lot of damage. So the rain is forecast to stop in the next 5 minutes. However, we still will be on damp conditions. As he looks to the outside, is he going to try and get the switch back? I think there was a little bit of contact there, as the 1-2-3 had kept the door closed. As is his right. We're going to stay on board with these guys. Watch them up the hill. You can see the Porsche uses a lot more curb. Porsche hasn't got the straight line speed on the Ferrari. That's to slot back in. You have to say at the minute it looks like advantage Porsche, but unless you can get past. So we've now got Thompson P4 overall in the GT2. Garrett is P2 in class, currently dealing with GT4 drivers. Oliver P3, Roberts now P4. Does it look like Roberts was a bit sideways there? This camera can be quite hidey. As we've got the 999 machine. Castelli up to P9 overall, so it seems to be a good recovery drive there. I think Davis is back out on track, he is. 33 machine. Unfortunately, 3 laps down and at the bottom, but we've got 51 minutes remaining, so this can all change. Hassat yet to pit. As Pagano, he has fixed the car but didn't do it under a pit stop, so I'm wondering if he had spun or crashed the car on track on return to garage. I'm guessing this will be his pit stop now. The man who was running in P2 for so long, down to 25th, back in the pit lane. As we've got Salos looking like he's trying to overtake that really battered and bruised Price. That BMW has definitely seen better days. I'm sure that thing is one little contact away from a return to pit orange meatball flag. As Davis comes up to the inside of Salos. And I believe he also gets past Price at the same time. Oh, contact between Price and Salos. Both get away with it. But Price needs to be careful in that badly wounded BMW, because one mediocre hit and he will be meatball flagged. As Castelli seems to be on the back of the 999 machine, obviously the GT2. It seems to be quicker than the GT2 car. Goes for the inside. Nice and easy move, but the GT2s are quick in a straight line. So expect that car to come back at him on the straight. Already is. So we've got to wait to see how quick this track is. It looked like the 999 had cut the corner. Harris doing very well there to keep himself out of the way. Harris has dropped down the order a little bit, so I am wondering if he had pitted or made a mistake. Down P25. 12 seconds off the next car in front of him. So I think he has made a mistake in there somewhere. What else is there to go? As there's got to have been a mistake that I've missed from the Porsche, who's now 9 seconds off the 1-2-3 Ukraine-styled Ferrari. Was too busy watching other drivers. We've missed it, so the gap is back up to 10 seconds. So it's down to the Porsche once again to close that gap. He did it from 8 seconds before, so I've got faith he'll do it a second time. With 48 minutes as well, with the track going to be starting to dry, are we going to see some drivers gamble when the track dries a little bit for dries? It's a bit too early yet, but Burnett is still yet to pit as well in the 82 machine. Don't forget, 14th overall. So he still does need to do a lap in the pit lane. So he is carrying on. Salos still doing a solid job in GT4. Just gets past there by Thompson. As we've got a stop and go for number 77. Which is Mr. Simpson. He's coming out the pit lane, so I'm wondering if he's done something in the pit lane he shouldn't have done. Oh, he's in the wall. He's on the grass, in the wall. He's veered across. Oh, he's hit the wall a second time. Keep that car out of the way. I think he's recovered it. He has, but he has crumpled the front of that McLaren. So not only does he have a 30-second penalty to serve, I think he's going to need a lot of damage repairs on that car. Davis is back out circulating up to P28. As Hasses in the 49 GT4 is still yet to pit as well, don't forget. So some of these strategies yet to come in. A few drivers' windscreen wipers are now off. A few are on. A few are on slow mode. As we've got Daruka into the pit lane in the Ferrari. He'd already done his stop and it doesn't seem to be too much damage to that Ferrari. So I wonder if this is going to be a slick change. Which if it is, will be very brave. As Price is also in. So that car finally getting a bit of repair. And don't forget, the 88 machine still yet to pit. Could he find himself actually pitting 4 dries? Because if he does, that was one hell of a strategy there from the 88 machine. He's kept himself quiet and clean throughout the race. He's led the majority of it. Obviously everybody else pitting. And he must have started on the wets and has done a brilliant job keeping that car on track. The gap between him and the 1-2-3 Ferrari is not updating. It was around 30 seconds, so I'm intrigued to see what the gap is. Nothing coming up at the minute. It's 37 seconds, so he's done very well. So the Porsche, how's he getting on closing this gap back down? 7.2, so he's took 2 seconds out. Thompson running 4th overall with a very slidey Daruka in front of him. I'm intrigued of what tyres Daruka is on. Looks like slicks with the markings. I think it's a little bit too early for that, but we'll keep an eye on Daruka's progress. We don't seem to have any battles on. We've got the closest we've got is Muta behind Duffy, GT4, GT3, respectively. Everybody else seems to have spread out. We've got Roberts in P7 in the GT2. 1.8 off Oliver, 2.1 ahead of Castelli. A lot of spray still being generated by these cars. So Simpson is back in the pit lane. This should be for his stop and go unless he returned. Mr. Harris in the 777 Ginetta. Seems to have had a quiet afternoon. And I've not seen him in a wall yet, so we'll take that as a successful day in the rig. As Smith is in the pit lane. So the stop and go for the 77 Simpson has been cleared. No drive-throughs for anybody else today, so everybody doing very well with pit lane. So Smith is in. I could only assume these guys are going for dries. Gabino is also in. Hivrik is coming out now. Let's have a look, see how his car's acting. I do believe they are on dries. Ew, very sideways on the grass. As the 14 Porsche has also brought it in, so he's thinking it's time, and that looks like it's not in its correct position. We shall see. Car is stopped. It's not really showing much of that pit lane, but yeah, I don't think the car was in the correct position. So we'll go on to the BMW. What's his plan gonna be? He's carrying on for another lap. He doesn't think it's ready. So the 123 Ukraine styled Ferrari. We'll watch how he's getting. Track does look fairly dry, to be fair. As I say that, the 14, he's been given a stop-go 30 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. And I think that is going to have crumpled a very, very good battle for the race win. As the 123 is in. Does he keep it? So a stop and go for the 14. Has not had the luck this afternoon. He's been chasing that Ferrari down for 45 minutes. And now has a stop go to his name. As the Ford, the 223 is in. Was running P4 for a long time, and then an accident ruined that one. It's a shame to see that. I'm guessing these guys are now going all for dries, as Thompson and Garrett are now also in the pit lane, as well as Davis in front there. Oliver, what does he do? He's also bringing it in. Castelli's crashed it in the pit lane entrance. Oliver does well to get through. Oliver doing some Sebastian Vettel style overtaking in the pit lane entry there. I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of activity in the pit lane as the 999 GT2 goes through, and Gold does as well. Roberts has also stayed out, so he doesn't think it's time yet. So he is running up there in the top. I'm going to say the top two. My timetable hasn't updated yet, but I'm going to say he will be second. There it is, it has updated. So this does fall absolutely perfectly for the 88 machine. He stays out another lap though. He's got to be careful of how many laps he stays out on them wets, because the dries are going to come at him quick and fast. So the 123 is back out in the race. Price is off in the front. Does he keep it in a straight line? I think he does. We are on board watching. Side by side, this shouldn't be a fight anyway. This should be blue flag conditions, and it does get through. As the 14 Porsche is back into the pit lane, serving his stop go. I gave it the curse. I said everyone had been pretty well behaved. Unfortunately, that is the way it goes. Sarlos is in the pit lane. Muter is also coming out. McConnell is in with Blake. Harris has continued onwards. I don't know if there is something I missed or if he's pitted already. I don't believe he has. Smith also still out there. But I believe Smith was one of the first GT4s to pit. Price is still out there down in P26. Davis is back in the pit lane. Duffy is in. That front end looking a bit sad for it, and the rear looking a bit sad for itself. And I believe that is Roberts in also. It is. So Roberts has brought that car in. The BMW is still carrying on. He's trying to leave it as long as he can. But surely these guys on the dries are going to be, as soon as these guys are up to temperature, which they should be, these guys are going to be catching in hand and fist. He's 18 seconds off the next car of the 999, but is in the pit lane. So that gap doesn't count. Again, the gaps are all a little bit wide at the minute, so there's not much to see. So we'll watch Roberts park it. Duffy also brings the McLaren in. So this will be the dry swap. Harris coming through the last corner, still staying out. He must have already pitted, then I may not have seen it. That's the only reason I can think of. Barrett is in the GT4. So these pit stops have really turned the grid upside down. So we've got the 88 is finally in. So he's decided it is good enough. So we'll have to keep a gap watch between the 1-2-3 Ferrari, who's a long way round the track. But you've got to remember, this is a very long pit lane. So has he stopped he's still not stopped the car yet. So don't forget, he's with a tyre change and fuel, you're going to be looking about 30 seconds standstill time. And he's only just stopped the car now. Where is the 1-2-3? He is coming into the final sector now. This could be pretty close. The other thing is, you've got to remember, he's up to racing speed and he has temperature. The 88 doesn't. As the GT2 of Gold brings the Porsche in. Rush is coming into the final corners now. He is moving. Pit limiter off. Yeah, he's done it. I thought the gap would have been closer as long as he keeps it on the tarmac. So I'll have to wait for the sector time. So he's jumped the Ferrari. Now can he keep the Beamer ahead? With 35 minutes left to go. We are in greasy conditions. So Thompson still will lead the GT2 class. As Davis is still in the pit lane, so I'm guessing he is maybe have called it and left the car in there. So Thompson still leads. It's a KTM 1-2 with Garrett second. Roberts back up to third in that machine, possibly. We'll have to wait and see what the gap is. As Roberts' car looks like it's had a bit of a smack on the back. I don't know if he's had contact with another car or a barrier, but that Mercedes is looking a bit scratched. So Gold, yeah, Roberts will pass Gold here. So this will be P3 in class. However, he does have Oliver behind him. As Roberts very sideways out of Radion. Eau Rouge and Radion. So we are waiting for the gap between the 88 and the 1-2-3. And that gap is 15 seconds. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So far, that 88 machine doing a very good job. As the 14 is now down in 12th after his stop and go. 10 seconds off the next car of Hivrik is an AM driver. Burnett still in the pit lane. The 183, so the P2 that started this race is back in the pits once again. 25th overall. As we are now down to 28 drivers, so we've lost another 2. Simpson being blue flagged with McConnell and the 14 Porsche at the same time. Nicely done by all 3 to make sure they all make it through. Harris down in P23. 7th in class. We'll be chasing down Smith in the 119 Aston Martin. 21 seconds between them with 31 minutes to go. The minute, there is not many battles out on track again. The gaps do fluctuate quite a lot. Oliver seems to, Oliver half a second behind Robert, so we're going to watch this battle for a lap. That KTM does seem a lot better than the Mercedes. Can he line anything up down the straight? I think even with slipstream, I think the gap's going to be big enough. Yep. So Roberts pulled the gap back up to just over 1 second. As we got Gould, the 22 machine on the 999. The last GT2 car to pit, and he's looking feisty. So I think he's the only Porsche in this division. As the 999 and Gould go a little bit wide, but the 999 went very wide. That would definitely have been a track court warning. That's another thing we have to remember. Track limits can be penalised. So far nothing as of yet, but as that clock comes down and people are pushing more. So half an hour remaining. As the 999 has gone very wide. That's going to give the 22 a run. And he lifts out and lets him have the place. So that KTM looking a handful. And it goes wide once again. It has got a little bit of markings on that right side. I wonder if that is not helping performance. That is job done. Place gained for Gould. He can now go after Oliver. But that's a 15-second gap. So that is a lot to ask for. Smith getting lapped once again by the GT2 boys. The 14 Porsche up to P12, 4 seconds. Doesn't seem to be making as much as an advantage in the dry as it was. It was the wet. 3.8 seconds. the gap is not really coming down at the front either. The gap has only come down by 2 seconds since we last checked in. That 1-2-3 machine has still got the time, but if he wants to win, he's got to get that foot down. .4, we will keep an eye on that gap, but you'd expect him to be catching a little bit quicker. Oliver now 1.8 off the back of Robert, so Robert finding a little bit of pace from somewhere. And that Mercedes does look a little bit understeery. From the outboard, you can see him squirming on the brakes and on the power. And sure enough, the gap is down to 0.8, so we're going to keep a watchful eye as I'm looking at the gaps around. And this is the closest battle we've got on track. As Matt goes a little bit wide there, I think that was just limits. So 0.7 the difference between these guys. I have to say, the KTM does look the better car at the minute. Again, I believe that's a bit too far for Oliver to try and make a move. So we've got Hivrik has been passed. Oh, this oh, he spun. Oh, he spun P2 in the GT4s of Muter. We came onto that as it looked like the 14 Porsche was close enough. It was more than close. And Hivrik has hit the P2 in GT4 class. So Muter, who had done a brilliant job getting that gap down to Salos to 4 seconds, that gap's going to be a lot more than that. We'll wait to see the split and then we'll see the time loss, but you know, the GT4 guys, it's unlucky, it really is, as he's lost down to the gap's now 11 seconds, so he's lost around 7 seconds with contact there. As Oliver is all over the back of Roberts. We'll go back to the point on the GT4s in a minute, as I don't think Oliver will be close enough to look into the chicane. His track temp has come back up to 26, so the track is a lot hotter, as Oliver is a lot braver on the brakes. That looked like the car was spinning from that camera angle. As the gap is back up to 0.6. It seems Matt can pull that gap out in that final sector when he needs to. But the KTM does look the stronger car in the first sector. As Oliver there fully cutting Radion. We've seen a few drivers do that today. Surprised we've not had drive-through yet for track limits, but there is still 23 minutes on the clock. The gap is back up to 1 second, so Matt once again pulling that gap out. There's not much else happening on track at this minute. Big gap starting to form now in the field. So we are down to 27 drivers, as I believe Davis has called it as well. So this battle then is for P3 in the GT2 class. That's obviously this is the first time Roberts actually races. Oliver goes very wide and touches the gravel. Kept it tidy enough, but Mercedes is very good in a straight line. Matt doing enough, placing the car where he needs to. Oliver seemed a little wide there, and I think that's gave Matt a little bit more breathing room. Does he go to lap Simpson in the GT4? Once again, 0.5 of a second between these two. Still the closest battle on track. That gap is coming down at the front. The 88 machine leads the 123 Ferrari by 11.8 seconds. Oliver gets a great run here. I can't see him doing much about it at the minute. He's hounding the back of Roberts. This is going to surely force Matt to go defensive. It hasn't. Oliver's gone for it up the inside. Turns into the outside line. I think, has he? He has. He's got the inside line. And Oliver is through. That was a send and a half, and respect to both drivers there for not ending in the gravel. Oliver goes very wide. Will give Matt the slipstream to get back towards the braking zone of the chicane. Both drivers run wide there. And I believe Oliver has come away with that. It sounded like one of them had a lock up into the chicane. But well done to both drivers for keeping that nice and clean. That could have ended badly. Well, McConnell seems to be having a quiet race down in 4th in the GT2 class, 19th overall. Just getting lapped by some of the GT2 drivers. As we seem to have lost Harris. So the 777 Ginetta has disappeared. It's a shame to see. Blake is down in 21st. So we've got a battle here, which is the Mustang, the 223 versus Hiverick. Don't forget, this Mustang was running in the top 5 earlier in the race before having an accident of some sort. We didn't see it, but his front end looked very broken as he goes down the inside of Hiverick. And that Mustang is very powerful in a straight line, but so is that Ferrari, especially in a slipstream. So can he keep that Ferrari behind him? Up Eau Rouge and over Radion. Does keep it, so new position gained. So the 999 of... Oh, that's very, very wide and very bumpy out there. That's not where you want to be. I've done that once before and I've ended up in a wall backwards. So the 999 does seem to be struggling. Hand has dropped a long way off the back of Gold, who they was battling with earlier. It's Daruka in P9. Once again goes wide. There's Gold in P8. 22 machine. His goal will be to track down and go after Roberts in the AMG, but he's 14 seconds behind with 16 minutes to go rather. So we shall see. As Garrett seems to be on the back of... Oh, Garrett's in the wall! He went to go to overtake. It was Barrett in the GR4 and he overcooked it. Lost the back end. How much damage is that given the 116? Seems to have recouped it all right, but it was a big enough hit. I'm gonna watch the gap, see how much time he lost. So he's lost 2 seconds. So we'll have to keep an eye on that gap to see if it gets bigger and if Oliver can close him in. Which is a bit of a shame because the Garrett was doing and going really well. So the gap between the lead two down to 10.8. It's been coming down slowly, but I don't think as much as this guy would want. Obviously, pole sitter. Was one of the first guys in for the wets. This man hasn't put a foot wrong all afternoon. And his strategy, I have to say, on point. Can he keep it? 14 minutes left on that clock. So Thompson's still leading the GT2 class. Kept himself out of trouble. So Garrett, we just saw him in the wall. Second overall, second in class rather, 4th overall. Salos still leading the way in the GR4s. Muta has dropped off a little bit more than what the gap was. But I'm guessing, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't damage on the back of that Porsche. Which is such a shame. I think we have been robbed of a nice little battle here for first in the GT4 class. Smith on his GT4 debut. 24th overall. Still running. So the 14 Porsche, who we was following quite a lot earlier in the day, was definitely putting a lot of pressure on that 1-2-3 Ferrari, but unfortunately a mistake was made and he lost 10 seconds and then speeding in the pit lane. It drops him down to P11. He's going alongside the 999 machine. Around the outside. Nice move, nicely done. Moves him up into P10 overall. But what could have been for that 14 Porsche? A nice recovery drive for Daruka, who had problems in the opening stages. As a lot of the gaps are spreading out now, so it's not much coverage. We've got Castelli and Jarrett within a second of each other. GT3 Pro versus GT2. This is for overall position, this isn't for blue flags. Muta is for blue flags, as Castelli has gone for it, going down the middle. Muta bravely backs out, which is probably a wise move. Castelli around the outside. What a move that. That I was not expecting to see that. Fair play. Castelli runs a bit wide. Oh, we're going to start seeing track limit infringements being brought up on the screen. Mr. Roberts in his GT2 debut. One of the first times I think I've ever seen him drive one of these. It's looking like it's going to be a P4 overall. Still 9 minutes 52 on the clock. Tell you, Castelli is on a charge at the minute. Now, obviously just passing Garrett, 2.6 seconds behind Thompson, as he goes to overtake Sarlos, GT4 class leader. Number 29 machine. As my onboards decided to change. So 32 laps in the book now for the 88 machine. 10.1 to the 123 Ukraine styled Ferrari. And I have to say, this man has drove an absolute blinder of a race. The strategy, the calls, I cannot fault anything he's done. He's given a flash for the blue lights, for the blue flags rather. Both drivers have allowed him through. Gap down to 9.6, however there is traffic that this machine will have to go through, as well as the 88. Castelli is hammering it, 1.1 behind Thompson. I don't think there will be much he can do about the top two, but I think he wants a P3 overall and will be a P3 in class. Muter slowly bringing down that gap to Salos, but I don't think there's going to be enough time in for him to catch and make a move. We're going to stay on board with Castelli. So Castelli making it up the inside of Thompson. Don't believe he made that one too difficult. So Castelli now third overall and third in class. So Garrett back now behind Thompson. Oliver a long way back, but I think we'll be fairly happy with a third overall. Third in class, I apologise. Rule Roberts very sideways in that GT2 machine and also on the grass. In the words of Mercedes, I don't believe they do make lawnmowers. So the gaps are fairly wide now. Obviously, we're not going to have much action, I don't believe, now till the end of the race. Garrett going up the inside of GT4 Simpson. Simpson getting well out of the way and then some. So 1.7 between these boys. Garrett has closed that gap back down. We have 5 minutes on the clock. Pit lane is now closed, but that shouldn't affect anybody due to everybody's done their mandatory refueling. Can Garrett do anything about Thompson? Same machinery. So this will come down to setups and driver skill. Lead gap down to 7.9 seconds. The 1-2-3 has closed it, but I just don't believe he's done enough. So we'll stick with this battle for a little bit longer because this is the closest on-track gap we've got. Garrett getting very close and interested now into the back of Thompson. Is the lead of the GT2 class about to change? We've got 3 minutes 15 seconds on the counter. Seven tenths as they cross the line. Different lines there by both drivers to get out of turn one. Garrett looks like he's got a lot of momentum. Well, let's see how good the slipstream will be.
Pit window is now closed.
There's the pit window, is officially closed. Everybody has done the pit stop, so no penalties to be dished out for that. Garrett not quite close enough yet to Thompson. Into the braking zone.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you
Leader
can.
is now onto the final lap. We will pick him up shortly. Garrett is really hammering the back of Thompson now. So I'm keeping an eye on the 88 machine who's currently on the back straight. Garrett is very... Oh, Thompson went a little bit wide. Will that invite Thompson? Not quite. I said that the wrong way round. Garrett looks to the inside. Nothing there. He's going to have one more lap. Both drivers same line. Nothing this time. Thompson a little wide. Oh, Thompson missed the corner. He had to cut the second part of the chicane, which just gave him a gap that he didn't have to Garrett. Picked up on that quite late. I think that may have helped his cause there. But was just too deep into the first part of the chicane. Had to cut the second. So we are now going to go and find the 88 machine, who's in the final sector. And I have to say, this man has had an absolute drive. His strategy was next to none. Cannot fault him. It's been an absolutely brilliant drive from this man. And for the first round of the multi-class, the 88 machine takes the checkered flag and is the first winner of the Friday multi-class series. The 1-2-3 finishes second, did take the fastest lap, but there was no beating the BMW today. Castelli is lapping Price. Gotta wait for him to come round. Jerus, the 875 machine, finishes. The 14 machine of the Porsche is 10th. Which, like I say, he'll be very disappointed with. We'll go through the full finishing order. Garrett is still hounding the back of Thompson. We'll pick these guys up in a minute. Castelli very wide. One more braking zone. Bit deep into there, but it doesn't matter. And a brilliant recovery drive from Castelli. Takes P3 in class and P3 overall. Thompson will take the GT2 class win, with Garrett very close behind. So the GT2 class will be rounded out by Oliver. So it is a KTM 1-2-3. And 3 KTMs in the top 6. So well done to Oliver. Mr. Roberts in his debut in the Mercedes GT2 will take a P4. There he goes. Flash of the lights. Gold in the 22 Porsche. P8 overall. P9 goes to the 875. The one remaining Mustang, the 223. 999 KTM in 11th. Hivrik, who had contact with Muter. Don't do this to me. Rounds out 13th. The 109 Maserati. We've not really seen much of him today. 14th. Duffy, recovery drive back up to 15th. Sarlos takes the GT4 win. P16 overall. Muter takes GT4's second place. Burnett and the number 10 BMW are P18 and P19. Barrett takes P3 in GT4. McConnell, Blake, Price, Smith, Simpson round out your finishes on track. And then we lost Harris, Pagano, Hassett must have had problems, Davis, and the 95 McLaren, and Lehman, who didn't finish, or DNS technically. So that is your first round of the new Friday night multi-championship done and dusted. I believe that was a very well done to the drivers. Lapping and passing different classes cars was majoritarily well done. So we are back next week, same time. Hopefully we shall be on the SRC YouTube. A few technical difficulties tonight, which resulted in us not being able to use it. We should try and get that back up next week. But yes, we will see you same time next week. Goodbye.